say. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I couldn't know. Would have kept me from what I had today. I took a walk one street over from my home. Crackling, broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to stay. Silly games of second guessing. I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I couldn't know. Would have kept me from what I love today. One street over there's a life I couldn't know. Things aren't all.
Did you know that your home's heating and
Okay, we're going to interrupt you right there. I don't know why that we play the song and then something else starts. But anyway, hey y'all, this is 1100 WSGI. I'm Utah Laverne, and this is One Street Over. A chance for us to see what's going on one street over from where you are. And if you're watching on Facebook, you see that I have a handsome guy sitting here next to me, Aaron Spradlin. Oh, roll your eyes. You know, look at him. But anyway, he's like my husband. Everybody calls him cute, and he's like, yeah, okay, But anyway, handsome guy sitting here, and Aaron Spradlin's here, and he is with, you're with CEO of Pale Horse GRC and founder of Michael Sword. And if you got to be at our meeting that the Robertson County Republicans held last time, wasn't it? Wasn't the first Saturday in April?
In April, yeah.
You came and spoke, and these organizations are about stopping human trafficking, and it's something that we hear about, but you always think, well, that's not happening in my neighborhood, none of that's going on. But before we even go there, but that's kind of setting up where we're going to go today, and this is going to be a fascinating show, I promise you. But as we were playing the Ridgetop Ramblers and that bluegrass stuff, the One Street Over, our theme song, you were like, oh, this is my music.
Yeah.
So really, what's your background?
Well,
where are you from?
It's something that I didn't even know that was inside me. My whole family's out of East Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
Prestonsburg and Paintsville, Kentucky, near Butcher Holler.
Oh man.
And I find myself sometimes, like I used to travel from Fort Bragg back to Ohio, where I was originally from.
Yeah.
And you would be finding yourself listening to AM station somewhere that had bluegrass playing and maybe doing a little bit more of the speed limit than you're supposed to. Because once it gets in you,
pulling some Copperhead Road.
Oh yeah,
too fast.
No, you're not supposed to do 100 through the mountains. So yeah,
but that bluegrass, yeah, it'll get you going. And with that, I told myself, let's go ahead and mention that because I want to remind everybody, the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, it is on and it's happening August 27th and 28th. I get to host it every year, and that just thrills me. I just love those guys and love that they let me be a part of it, and it's just so much fun. And I am so excited to. It's going to be different having it in August down there in that holla with the staging and the acoustics of that little valley where we have the show, and the trees will be full of leaves, so there'll be natural shade. It's going to be fabulous. But it's August 27th to 28th. We're going to have a fiddle competition on the 27th that evening, and then the show going all day on Saturday. You've got to be there. It is going to be so much fun. But man, I got you. I'm a Kentucky girl, so I'm not from the mountains. I'm from the flatlands of West Kentucky.
Well, don't get it wrong. I never lived a day in my life there, but
it's
my whole family,
heritage. Gotcha.
My father's side and my mother's side came on opposite sides of the mountain and migrated to Ohio for the farmland.
Okay.
And then they met in 19 whatever.
Yeah.
And here I am. But
there you go.
It's something that's once it's in you, it's in you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's what they call all of us from Kentucky hillbillies, because it just kind of gets in your soul. But anyway, so Aaron, I met you. we were talking about, I guess, just the problems with human trafficking. And I'm not sure. I don't know if Lee Marie found you and introduced me to you. I'm not sure how our paths crossed. Do you remember?
It was some time ago.
I've known you now for a few years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, all that's going on the border right now. Whenever this happened during Obama's administration, I was with the Blaze, and we went down to McAllen to see what was happening with this just flood of migrants coming across the border. And migrants, guys, it's not immigrants, it's migrants. And folks that are just migrating across the border, and they're not being stopped. And I'm one of these people, I respect the boundaries of a nation. You've got to. I've got so many immigrant friends, so many who I dearly love. The problem with this no checkpoints at the border, it is a avenue by which human trafficking just explodes. Is that correct? And so I kind of think that's why we had you in. It was talking about people with border concerns and things like that.
We were talking about the border concerns.
And we had that big sporting event here.
That's
what it was. We had you in to
draft.
talk because that brings in the traffickers.
So
this is how Aaron and I got to know each other. But there are so many things. So I don't know where you want to start about what you do.
Let's start with the border part.
Okay, let's do that.
So to be perfectly honest, in my work in the military, in my private sector life.
And thank you for your service.
My pleasure. The government contracting and the places I've been. Afghanistan, South America, Central America, some crazy places, right? The most concerned I ever was for my own safety was 3 months ago in Arizona.
Wow.
In Arizona.
Wow.
We went down to the border and got to see a little bit of the back door in of humans, drugs, you name it, everything coming in. And it was just me and a cameraman standing out in the middle of this valley with nothing around us, the cartels up on the mountaintops, and I'm like, this could be a short trip. Let's go ahead and just get back to civilization.
Yeah.
But the crazy part about the border opening as much as it has, and I mean, as soon as Biden was elected, the traffickers were cartwheeling all over the border. They were so happy.
I was going to say elected.
It was a loose term. I apologize. Placed.
I'm sorry. The views and opinions are my own, and I haven't been political lately, but they don't necessarily express the views of this radio station. So,
but they were very excited down there that had happened because the hope that we had to seal that and start controlling it a little bit more went away. And now you see everything that's down there, and it's flooding the way that it's flooding, and the children that are being separated, and they're not being separated from their families. They're being separated from the mules that brought them over.
That's right.
That being said, in the United States, only 17% of the traffic victims are imported, which means 83% of the children that are trafficked in America are trafficked. There are children that are being trafficked. So if you have that already, okay, so there's 1.2 million children that are trafficked around the world a year. 320,000 of those are in America. Now, the world's a big place, and we're responsible for more than a third of the children that are trafficked here in the United States, and they range from the ages of 3 to 17, and the average is 13.
That's heartbreaking.
And Tennessee is very heavy in human trafficking. When we started this mission in February of 2016 was when I was given my vision to do this. 78 out of 95 counties in the state of Tennessee had trafficking reported under the age of 13. Within 5 years, 95 out of 95 counties in the state of Tennessee have reported trafficking under the age of 13. That is kind of unacceptable.
Oh, beyond.
We were for the third year in a row, Tennessee was named the #1 state in America fighting human trafficking. And we've increased that much. I'd say we're the #1 state in America covering it up. And it bothers me because we got Memphis and barbecue, we got Nashville and country music. We need that revenue. And we're not putting the focus on the things that we need to focus on, which is supporting our law enforcement, increasing their budgets to fight this, adding more people to fight this, task forces. The governor is fully aware. I've had that opportunity to speak to him prior to him even being the governor. Currently, it's my understanding that Tim Tebow, who is working heavy in fighting human trafficking, is speaking to our governor's chief of staff just to make it an awareness thing for the state. And if you could slice off a little bit of the budget and maybe get the law enforcement the things that they need, we might be able to start putting a little bit of a dent in this so that we're not increasing like we have in the last 5 years. We need to start decreasing, but that costs money. So when you take drugs, let's use drugs for an example, because right now the only thing that's more money making in this country is drugs. We've already surpassed guns, illegal guns, with human trafficking. We're right on the edge of bypassing drugs in the United States with human trafficking, because a drug can only be used one time.
Right.
These poor children get used 5 to 10 times a day.
God, it's unbelievable.
And so when let's say our drug task force, which is phenomenal in the state of Tennessee, they do a bust, they have what's called seizable assets, where you liquidate those assets and you use that money to turn around and run other operations. And that's a huge surplus of operational funding, correct? Mm-hmm. So when you save it one child, it costs anywhere between $180,000 and $210,000 a year just to begin the rehabilitation process. So it costs so much money, and we have so many here in Tennessee, that something has to start being done to create rehabilitation centers and restoration, and have the counselors and all the things that once you get these kids out of the situation, getting them to somewhat of a normal life after that. Mm-hmm. All right. And you can't do it through DCS. It's overflowing. Mm-hmm. CASA does what they can, which is a wonderful organization, but you need something else that only focuses on the victims of trafficking, because it's a different kind of trauma. Mm-hmm. And so if we could start making the noise, I said this the other day when I spoke at Wilson County, back in 2000, when we had the chance, when they were trying to get us to state income tax, people drove around the Capitol beeping their horns and making all kinds of noise, doing everything they could to fight, I'm going to lose $10 in my paycheck. Well, let's start beating on the doors of the Capitol now and talk about children, because this is the most important thing right now that we have to fight. Yes, we have an opioid crisis, and yes, we need new roads, and yes, we need all this, right? Mm-hmm. Every day, every 2 minutes, a child's being sold in the United States for sex. So if we're on the air for an hour, right, that's how many kids every 2 minutes have in this country have been sold for sex, and to the tune of $150 billion industry throughout the world. It was a $30 billion industry when I started 5 years ago, and now it's a $150 billion industry.
I mean, that's the thing. We're hearing so much more about this. We never talked about this for so long, and we're hearing so much more about this, but it just seems to be getting more rampant.
It is, and the biggest key to it is the internet, and the accessibility to pretty much anything in the world. And listen, this is not a new thing. Mm-hmm. I mean,
no, it's as old as time.
But pedophilia is one thing. Sociopathic child predators, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. But now there's a new programming of the brain due to the massive availability of porn.
Yeah,
and so the porn reprograms a person to the point who falls into that, to a point of now they cannot be satisfied on what they see. They need to go do it. And it's ridiculously accessible. It's a phone number here in Tennessee. You call a phone number, it goes through a call center. The next thing you know, you're at a seedy motel down on Murfreesboro Road, and you got what you were looking for.
It takes my breath away, because I remember, I think too, the last time you were in here, it was also, there was some connections to a sting operation that they did, and that some of our legislators were involved in. I know that, Senator Kerry Roberts and Sabi Kumar, Dr. Sabi Kumar, they were talking about being witness to this, where they put this there was an ad that was put out, and all the people who responded to it, and it was underage girls that they were coming to, and they arrested them. And they had this big sting, and it was breathtaking, the numbers, and it was just that quick and easy to set this up and to grab these people. But it's just everywhere.
And if you remember Senator Roberts, because he spoke right after I did,
right?
He said that if we'd have ran the ad in English, we'd have had 10 times the arrests, because they ran the ad in Spanish.
Wow.
He said
I didn't remember that at all.
That was the end of it. He said we ran it in Spanish. If we'd ran it in English, we'd had 10 times the arrests.
So I
And
didn't
that was in
remember
Brentwood,
that.
Tennessee.
Yeah, that was just how. I mean, talk to Carrie about it, and talk to Sabi about it, and they'll tell you. It's when they talk about it, they get upset. You can tell because it was just such clear evidence that this is such a incredible problem. Now, something you said, and I'm going to be taking notes as you say, in case there's a question that pops in my mind, and if you have questions online here, please just. Go ahead and put them up in comments and we'll get them to Aaron. But one thing you said, and we hear this a lot when we hear about things that we need to fix. And you talk about the budget and if the police can get what they need. What do they need?
Well, right now in the state of Tennessee, there are only 4 agents with TBI that fight this.
Wow.
They're regional. So Middle Tennessee, East, West, and the Southern region. That's 4 people working. If there were 100 hours in a day, they'd be working all 100 hours of the day. These 4 people, and especially the man in Middle Tennessee, these are the hardest working law enforcement guys I know because this is such a problem. And to the gentleman I deal with, to have the demeanor and the light that he has, I don't even know how because he just lives in it. So when I say they need more education in the things to look for. They need to understand how that trafficking world works. And to do that, you have to pay for training. Or, one of my old
So
partners-
training for the officers.
For the
officers
officers.
need to know that when they're going to a call and they see this child might be trafficked. Because it's
Right.
working in benevolence like I do at the church. We have people that'll come in, maybe they're living in their car and there's kids with them. And I always just kind of go, you just kind of clinch up because you wonder, because you think, okay, why are you living in your car? Probably because you're in you're addicted, and you still have your kids, and you come up with this story like, oh, we're just really trying to stay together. But in truth, are you addicted, and are you selling your child to get your fix? Because if you honestly,
Which is very common.
Yeah. And it's just when I see these families with a child living in their car and coming up with a great story about, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened, because they're great at telling stories, but you look in that child's eyes and you can just kind of see if they're downcast and they don't make eye contact. It's just something that you've got to look for because it's happening right in front of us. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, East Tennessee is heavy with the child trafficking is being done by the families. It's for meth. It's for rent money. It's for anything. We had a girl that was 12 years old that was being sold by her grandmother for meth.
Good Lord.
And fortunately they got her out and started getting her through restoration. But anything for the drug. So after the whole setup and after they've come and got the child, well, however they did it, the next thing is to get you addicted. Yeah. And once you're addicted, I had a girl that we rescued a year and a half ago now. She ran away 2 more times just to get back to the heroin. She didn't care what was happening to her body. She needed the heroin, and I'm very, very happy to say that she has been clean and prosperous for a year and a half and raising her daughter, and she's wonderful. And I can talk to her once a month just to make sure she's doing all right. She's a wonderful young lady, but I was there in the mix of it. She called me and said, I'm going back to do it. If I can't get some money, I've got to get the drug. And the only way I can get that is to go back and do it, because she hadn't been through the rehabilitation. Right. But once they're hooked, they'll do anything, and it doesn't matter how old they are. I just stumbled across a whole new nest of children. I say children 13 to 16 on accident the other day that are standing downtown, that are in a spot that we'll start focusing on now. And just because I was getting off at an exit I don't usually get off of, and I happened to see it. And there's 10 to 15 of them. And it's a highly trafficked area with law enforcement. Yeah. But what are they looking for? Do they know what to look for? Have we created a task force in the state of Tennessee just to fight this alone, which would be a huge move in the right direction? We just, I think it was a month ago, they just recovered 150 kids in Tennessee from 3 to 17. And you wonder, well, where were these kids? And it was a massive joint effort between the TBI, the FBI, Homeland Security, and other entities, and they rescued and found 150 kids. And there's still 90 plus missing that they're looking for that was part of that entire operation. Yeah. But 150 kids, where were they? And how long were they gone? And what did they go through while they were gone? Runaways are a big part of this. Every month, 600 to 900 kids go running away in the state of Tennessee, and 1 out of 7 become a traffic victim. That's a lot of new kids on the street now that are being used to fund some pimp's $35,000 a week operation. And there's no demographic. It's not rich or poor, black or white. Everybody is doing this. All right. And I say that because I'm very well aware of a very wealthy individual, a Fortune 500 company that's under the spotlight right now, flies to South America just to do this. Employees know it, but the paycheck's too good. Then you can have the guy that's out there and he's doing it for meth money. So there's no demographic or social economic status. It's everywhere. And I said this the other day, and I think it was a little startling. All of us know somebody that does it.
That's what freaks me out, is I've heard you say that before, and I know that. I know that. And I think about the people who I know and know well, and I would be stunned and shocked because we just know it's out there. I know there was a college, I won't say which one, but it was somebody that was heading up one of their departments, and people who know the story will know, and he was found with some evidence, and he fled the country. And and everybody's like, "What? You got to be kidding me!" And so it is just people who you would never think that this has been exposed to, and a lot of it too. Like you said, the internet and the fact that everybody was so shut in for the last year. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. I got to take a break here. It's already 20 after. I could do 2 hours with you. I know, and maybe even more than that. Just because it's something that's just touched my heart. Living down in Texas, or working down in Texas for a year and a half, and going and seeing that, and being exposed to some people who are in there working to stop this, and knowing it's just incredible. And there's so much to be done. And like you said, the police need more people dedicated to this.
Absolutely.
But anyway, we'll go back there when we start back with Aaron. But Aaron Spradlin is my guest, and he is, again, the CEO of Pale Horse GRC and the founder of Michael Sword, working exhaustively to stop human trafficking of our children, and it's just a monumental task, as you've heard from the numbers. But we're going to continue talking with him, and we're going to talk for a moment about my friends over at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts Nursery and Gardening Center. I got to get by there. I've got several things I need. My mother's got some things picked out that she wants for Mother's Day. Mother's Day's coming up. Mother's Day is a week from Sunday, I think, and they've got beautiful hydrangeas and clematis and just all kinds of beautiful flowering plants. And if you don't know what to get your mom, go get her flowers that she can plant, that will be there all summer long, that she can enjoy. And you can get some perennials, maybe things that'll even come back next year. But go and talk to Amy, and tell them she can help you. You can tell them what your mom is like, what kind of yard they have, what they think they'll be able to keep alive with me. The less water, the better. And I'm going to have to bring a picture of my petunias. My petunias are still alive. Okay, I've been watering them. They're still alive. I will put proof of life up on my Facebook, and they're beautiful. But there's a couple of other things I need. Again, I want to get some things for my mom for Mother's Day. So that's what I'm going to get by there and do sometime this week or over the weekend. But they're open on Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, Sunday from 1 to 5. They're out at 4920 Highway 161. And the farmers market will be opening this Saturday. And they'll be there with their flowering baskets. That would be beautiful. If you know what to get your mom for Mother's Day, go get them some of those flowering baskets to hang on their porch. Absolutely gorgeous. They'll be at the farmers market. And so we're very excited about farmers market gearing back up. But now they are also your CBD source. I take my CBD every single morning. It's pretty much all I take for arthritis, and I'll use their ointment sometime that's a topical that Amy and Miss Jane make right there in the house. But the oil is processed from the plants that Bill grows, and that's what's sold right there at Corbin Creek. If you want to try CBD and see if it'll work for you, I was so skeptical, and my doctor recommended it, and it's been a game changer for me with my arthritis. If you want to check it out and try it, the best advice I can give you, and I've said this many times, is to make sure you know what you're buying, because when you buy it over online, you don't really know what you're getting. Well, you do at Corbin Creek. It is oil that's been processed locally. It's grown right here in Robertson County, so it's Robertson County CBD. Go and see them. Corbin Creek Greenhouse, Gifts Nursery, and Gardening Center. Always, please, please, please be sure and tell them that U-Turn sent you. And getting back to the show here with my friend Aaron Spradlin. Where do you want to go from here? I know my friend Jerry Sothergill says you talked a little bit. We were talking about how the people were shut in and what that has caused, the rise of problems in domestic type problems and trafficking and those types of things. So I know that at the meeting you talked about that a little bit when you were speaking it to the group at the Republicans on the Saturday meeting. But you talked a little bit about how that there were things that people could do while they were in these Zoom meetings to let them know, hey, I'm stuck here at the house and we're, being isolated and I've got an abuser with me. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about that. Is that still something that you're dealing with?
We so there's a hand signal that's out there, and obviously we're on the radio, so it's hard to show it. But
we've got cameras all over the place, so you can certainly.
So the thumb going underneath the hand like this and the fingers rolling down like that is a sign of distress, okay? And we're in the process of putting together a public service announcement video to show, how this can be used in various,
right.
Even if you're on a Zoom call and you're sitting there, and if you're doing the business, and you're an abused woman or something that's going on and there's trouble, you show that, and that nobody's going to see it behind you. And then if you can get that awareness out there that, hey, things are happening in the home or things are happening here, this is the distress sign, then maybe something can help or happen to help the situation. The thing that being shut in like everybody has been, there's no way to recognize the signs.
Yeah.
Okay, so, with the schools being closed down, domestic or the child abuse is up, anything, it may not be up, it's just not noticed because there's nobody there to see the signs of the change. All right, so depression has come from this lockdown, suicides up because of the lockdown. There's all these things. So of course, all these numbers are going to go up with child abuse or child exploitation. And now you're out of money, or now you have a habit, or now you found another way to do this. It sounds so horrible, but it's real. This to us, that doesn't even sound like an option. But there are people out there that believe it's an option. And so not being out there or not being able to be seen from the perspective of an educator, seeing things that they've been trained to see, it really, you can only see so much from a kid that's in a Zoom class. You don't know what happens as soon as that computer goes off. And so the numbers went up. They didn't go down. It didn't slow anybody down from the trafficking world. The kids were still on the streets. The Johns were still out there buying them because there was not a whole lot of people out there to witness what's going on. So it's even worse. And, so the lockdown hurt more than it helped anything in my perspective.
Oh, yeah.
From economical to this. So,
well, and we hear that from law enforcement all over. The sheriff's office, police chief, they've been in here and they have echoed exactly the same thing about domestic violence and those type of child abuse have just, absolutely risen during this time because they don't have that outlet. They don't have those safe places to go. The kids not being in school has just been huge. But so with all of this, we kind of unpack the fact that it's an overwhelming problem. What is the message you have for everybody? What do we need to do? Because as you come around and you talk to people, it's like, what can we do? What can we do to be a part of it, to help this?
So first off, I use this example. There are things that you can see out there that are happening around you, but you're so focused on, we're also focused on our own lives, right? So I used the example the other day in a meeting I spoke at. When you drop your wife off at the front of the grocery store, and because I don't like to go in the grocery store. Drop her off at the grocery store and you sit in the parking lot. Start observing what's going on around you. Start watching because we could be the first line of defense. A fine example, there was a Target that was here in Middle Tennessee, and somebody had the awareness to see what looked like a young child being lured out by somebody else that was not their parent. And so they called 911. They kept themselves at a safe distance. The police department got there in time to not let the vehicle get out. They stopped and questioned the person. It wasn't their child. They opened the van, and there were 2 more children in the van.
My word.
But it was someone with awareness. I've talked about talking to your state legislators about, write a letter, send an email, do something. We have a problem here in Tennessee that needs to be addressed. Start beating on their door. Like you said, Senator Roberts, Senator Pody, Senator Beavers, retired. All these people were very involved in trying to fight. But it goes by when there's so much else in front. It needs to be in the front. Go online, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Go to Homeland Security. Look at what signs to look for of child trafficking. Anything from, the change in appearance, the change in demeanor, jewelry, things that have been given to them to help lure them away. And get in your child's phone and tablet. Mm-hmm. All right? The tablet and the phone is not the babysitter. All right, we like to just slide it over here. Hey, little Sally, watch this on your game, play your game. So I'll tell you, so for the audience to understand, I can go on Facebook right now, start me a brand new Facebook account with some Hotmail email, and I can be a 14-year-old girl. I can do that right now, and then I take that particular whatever that's called, that profile, thank you. I take that particular profile, and then I go into Minecraft or some of these games that the kids play on their tablets or on their phones, and now I'm in a chat room as a 14-year-old girl with a 14-year-old girl. Now, say I'm the victim, and I'm lonely. I'm the victim. I'm not very popular. I've got all these things that are bothering me. I'm coming through that part of my life where I'm changing. I'm just all this. They know how to target you. Okay, so now the bad guy and the victim end up at a play date at a park or somewhere. Mom's brought them. Mom turns her head. Well, that 14-year-old girl hasn't shown up yet because it was a 55-year-old man. And mom is reading her book or she's on her phone, and next thing you know, little Sally's gone, and this process starts. Well, they understand that. When you're a teenage girl, and that good-looking boy comes to you and tries this. Down in Franklin, there was an attempt of this 3 months ago. Good-looking guy, not from this country, starts luring a girl. She's going to sneak out with him, at night. Well, what he was supposed to do was get her to sneak out, take her, give her, sell her to the pimp, and take his money and go on, and the pimp take her forever. Just because she had the opportunity that she thought she was being, courted by a good-looking young man from another place. And he was a teenage kid. So there's not really, in Franklin, right? It doesn't matter. Everybody wants to think that this is in New York or this is in LA or Chicago, the big cities. This is a South America problem. This is an Eastern Bloc problem. No, this is a Springfield problem. This is a Franklin Brentwood problem. I just said 95 out of 95 counties. So it's everywhere. And so getting involved is number one. Paying attention to your children. I was on a radio show a year and a half ago, and I was asked, how do we get involved in Williamson County? I said, stop letting the dadgum phone be the babysitter. Know what's going on in their life, and that's going to help wean some of this back because it all starts with technology. And there's other little things, but it starts with technology because they can trick you. And they've made a business out of tricking you. I said earlier that there's a phone number you could call. I mean, they have a human resource department. They've got everything you need because they're a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It's incredible.
And the only way that we're going to stop it is if we rise up to try to stop it and start supporting our law enforcement officers and create task forces that fight this, and not just in Tennessee, but I'm talking nationwide. We're the crossroad here because of all the highways. They'll run them out of Chicago down to Memphis, cut them across, run them down to Chattanooga. Now they're in Atlanta. Now they're in Miami. Then they make a circle and they come right back because of all of our access that we have here. They run it just like the drug trade. They just run it with people.
All you got to do if you want to, this is the traffic reporter and me coming out, but you just kind of pull back and pull the map up of Nashville and see how all the interstates converge and come. We are such a hub, and everything's here. And during heavy vacation times, all you got to do is just, it just comes to a stop because there's so much traffic going through here. Well, that's going on all the time, not just in spring break or summer vacations. It's happening all the time because we are a hub for everything here. People just absolutely, it's incredible. It is incredible. I tell you, let's go ahead and stop and take a break right now. I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from our friends over at Hancock Farms.
Looking for farm fresh produce this season? Come see us at Hancock Family Farm Market on Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are located at 7114 Highway 49 East, only 6 miles from downtown Springfield. We have a wide variety of produce from strawberries and flowers to corn, peaches and tomatoes, along with milk, eggs, cheese, meat, and honey. Hancock Family Farm, family operated since 1911. Let our family feed your family.
And this is, again, 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn Laverne, and we need to talk for a minute about Reiselman Buick GMC, one of the largest GMC Buick inventories in Tennessee, and one of our sponsors here at One Street Over. I love the story of Todd and Courtney Reiselman. They were looking to buy an auto dealership. They, were not from around here, neither am I. I'm from Kentucky, but they were looking across the country to see where they could build their business, and they picked Robertson County, and I love that. I think that says a lot for who they are, because they see who we are, and that's the kind of dealership that they're building, that they've built. They've been here for, I want to say, a year and a half, maybe going on 2 years now, but they are just phenomenal folks. Go in and talk to Todd about the dealership and the things that he wants to do here in the community and how he really wants that business to continue to thrive. But again, one of the largest GMC Buick inventories in Tennessee. They got the great new stuff. If you want that new car smell when it comes off the truck and it's only got a few miles on it, they can hook you up. They got great selections from GMC and Buick, and Todd says, you can come in and just order what you want. That way, whenever it comes off the truck, it is yours and it's exactly what you wanted. Now, if you're a pre-owned person like myself and you like getting those, I'm driving a Yukon Denali, and that means it's got all the bells and whistles, but my budget works better when the Denali's a few years old. Well, you can do that. They get certified pre-owned stuff in all the time that's gone through those multi-point inspections to make sure they're exactly what they need to be. And they've also got some low-mile vehicles that'll come in that still have sometimes factory warranty left on them. All kinds of options for you to purchase, from leasing to financing, that you can even start the application process online. You can go to ReiselmanBuickGMC.com, ReiselmanBuickGMC.com. Check out some of the inventory that they have. They'll have a lot of pictures there and some video and things like that you can check it out. And of course, they've got a service department to help out in all of those ways. That's open every single day that they're open. Monday through Friday, the dealership is open 8 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. Saturday, dealership is open 8 to 6. Monday and Thursday, I think service is open until 6, and then they close at 5 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then they're open until noon on Saturday. So all kinds of great things, and that's just the service department I was mentioning. Again, the dealership hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Reiselman Buick GMC. Tell them U-Turn sent you when you get by there, and also please thank them for being a part of our little thing we call One Street Over. Aaron Spradlin is my guest in studio. We're talking about the passion that he has for. You talk about when you got the calling to do this. How does that happen?
Well,
seriously, how did you end up doing this?
It is a crazy, awesome story.
Okay.
So in 1997, I joined the Army, and I did my time in the Army, and then I've always been in some protection thing, right?
Gotcha.
So Pale Horse is a private security consulting firm. So it is what we do, right? And so in February 2016, I was at my gym. I got done working out, and I went into the dry sauna. So I'm sitting in the dry sauna. I'm going to do 15 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, I cover up in goosebumps. And I think, am I having a stroke? What's happening?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I'm in Iraq. And I can't say that was a flashback because I've never been to Iraq. I was in Afghanistan, right?
Right.
But I knew I was in Iraq. And not an audible, but a voice that I felt in me said, all your training, all your resources, all your people, go save my people. Mm. And that next day it started. Well, it started that day. It started that day because you can't say no.
Right.
Right? It's not gonna be good for you if you say no. And it was crazy how it transitioned, because I thought I was supposed to go to Iraq and rescue Christians from persecution from ISIS. Right. And then just real quickly things started to shift. And the people that I would engage with were pushing me in this direction and pushing me in this direction. And it all happened. It had to do with a movie or a documentary called The Abolitionist. And one person had said that, pushed it to my friend that was a PR guy for Faith-Based Films, and the other person pushed me to the organization that made it. And then the next thing you know, I'm in South America with that organization, and we're doing rescues, and it it's been an amazing journey as to how we got here.
Right.
Because never in a million years. I mean, it wasn't even on my radar, like most people, you know. I knew there were bad people and there were bad things going on. And then I went and did these things in other countries, and I came home and I'm like, well, man, it's pretty heavy here. I don't have to leave town to do this.
Right.
And so I started researching and going to, you know, seminars and listening, and went out to Austin, or to San Antonio, and set through a lot of education out there, and came back, and then met up with a group out of Jackson, who he's a phenomenal investigator, and started, you know, really looking into this. And then we introduced ourselves to the TBI. And like, hey, what's going on? And so they feed us emails and they send us all this information about what the real trafficking picture looks like. And then we, since then, have continued to go forward. And we're starting a new initiative next month called Not Our Town. And we're going to start doing this. We're going to start doing this in we're going to get it out like a grassroots campaign. And
Not Our Town.
Not Our Town.
Yeah.
N-O-T. And it's real simple. N-O-T. And it's read not. And then Not Our Town. And start getting it out to the communities.
That's great.
So that they can start understanding through literature, or through, you know, public service announcements or billboards or whatever we have to do to get the attention on the topic. We're going to do it. And it was crazy. One of my business partners is just like, God sends this to him. He says, Not Our Town.
Oh, yes.
And I'm
Perfect.
like, that, I mean, it chokes me up to think about how easy it was to come to everybody having that attitude. You know, think about it. You know, the one thing I saw was like a man mowing his grass, and he sees a strange van in his neighborhood, and immediately calls somebody. There's something going on. This ain't happening in our town. Not our town. And it's just a little bit of a nudge to get the attention on the problem. And so,
Okay, country music writers, there's a song there. Not Our Town. That's a hook. I mean, anybody who writes, I mean, that's a hook, and it needs to be a ballad. It needs to be a ballad that tells a story that is powerful. And so that's my challenge. I'm not a songwriter, but I know a lot of them. And Not Our Town. I mean, you talk about that would fund this. Write the song, guys. Make it a ballad. Make it something that just tells a story that just draws you to tears every time you hear it. That's my challenge to my songwriter friends. Because
you're messing me up, Laverne. You get me.
But I'm serious. We have seen that from the evil one, the way he markets to this world. And so we got to market the good. And you talk about your moment in the sauna, man, that's the Holy Spirit talking to you and just sending you out and saying, pick up the sword, brother. And I mean, that's a call for all of us. And so whatever we got to do to market the peace that we all have and the goodness that we all have, and if we start doing it and just living it and pushing it out there, we've just got to get better at marketing it and sharing it and just shouting it with the love of the Lord. I mean, I don't know. But praise God for what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Amen. And this is a faith-based organization here with Ebenezer Broadcasting, and I tell you guys, this is at the heart of it. Is what part of this is yours to do? What's the Spirit guiding you to do and be a part of this? I mean, this is just your involvement when you went with the organization. Was that the Operation Underground Railroad? Oh yeah, Tim Ballard and all those. See, that was how I got involved with it too, because they came in because of the Blaze.
Yep.
And I remember now, and I was thinking that was your involvement there. I can't imagine going in with them and seeing this and being a part of those stings that they did. Just breathtaking, because you had to pretend to be
the bad guy.
You had to pretend to be the bad guy.
That's the hardest part. Now there's a interview that he does where he talks about where he got outed as the good guy.
Yeah.
He was in Colombia, and he loved the fact that he didn't have to be the bad guy anymore.
Yeah.
And it's hard. The first one I ever went on, I was really, really nervous about how can I pretend to be this person. And the one that we did, it was a school teacher that was pimping his students.
Good Lord.
And we had rented out a bar for a party.
Yeah.
And the bar knew all about what was about to happen.
Right.
And we brought him in, And there they come, nine girls between the ages of 9 and 15. And I'm like, how am I going to deal with this pimp with that rage that's inside? Am I going to be able to play this role? It was the first time. And I hugged him and kissed him on both cheeks and, welcomed him in and thanked him, And then as soon as those little girls got there, all they wanted was alcohol. And we wouldn't do it. We just kept getting soda pop, right? And buying the time for the evidence to gather, because you had to do the money exchange and do all these things that the prosecutors had told us we needed to do. And when the go went, the door was kicked, the federal authorities came in, we go to the ground, he goes to the ground, and I'm sitting on the floor playing it up like I'm so, what's my wife going to think? I thought this was legal, all this stuff, right? And I look up from underneath my hat, and I could see him handcuffed to the bar, and he's bawling like a baby, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
But the most gratifying thing of that whole thing was when I walked out the door to be arrested, in the back room with the restoration team, who was also undercover, you got to hear those 9 girls uproar and laughter.
Yeah.
Because they knew it was over, and what was ever was said was just, it was a beautiful sound.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of sound you want to keep hearing over and over. You hope you don't have to hear it because of the situation, but that freedom sound is an amazing sound. Next to my son being born,
nothing like it. You're going to cry. You're going to make us all cry. And it's so funny. And I've talked to other guys. I've got friends that were in your position that went and did that. And they said the hardest thing is when you're being handcuffed and you have to continue to play that role of being a bad guy and around those young women. And not just young women, a lot of young boys too involved in this.
23%.
Yeah, 23% are boys as well. And I got to tell you, I know a few people who've done it, and wow. Incredible work. Let's go ahead and take one more break here before we wrap up. And Aaron Spradlin is my guest, and just a fascinating talk that I love this. Not our town. That's what's next here. Yep. But he is the CEO of Pale Horse GRC and the founder of Michael Sword. And I want you to give all your contact info, how they can reach out to you if they want to help you out with something, do something specific in just a minute. Make sure we get all that out. But we do need to pause for a minute, talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Friends of mine, we talk about, anytime we talk about Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, they come up because Barry's on the board, and Rebecca's always been one of the sponsors of the festival. That's how I got to know them. And they're dear friends of mine. That's why I can so highly recommend them to be the folks that you need if you're going to be involved in real estate in any way, no matter what side of the sale you're on. If you're the seller, if you're the buyer, there's very specific things that you've got to make sure you get done. And if you're on the buying side, you got to get pre-qualified. If you're selling, you got to make sure you price it right. And if you've got a piece of property that's highly sought after and they get into a bidding war over you, you better make sure you got somebody in your pocket there that knows what's going on and knows how to handle it from the legalese side of it. And it's amazing, the market that we're in right now. It is crazy. And if you're wanting to sell, make sure you got somewhere to go, because your property is going to sell fast, and it's going to sell for what you ask for it, as long as you're within the reasonable ideas of what it's going to appraise for. That's the one thing. But it's just a crazy realty market. You need somebody that understands it. Rebecca's been at this for over 20 years. She's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. Barry was a marketer before he was a realtor, and comes to that with all of that experience. A Zillow certified photographer, licensed and insured drone pilot, does those 360-degree virtual reality home tours. We'll get you up on realtor.com. Make sure that everybody sees your property that needs to. And while they specialize in Robertson County, they also can buy and sell around the surrounding counties across the state line in Kentucky. They are the whole package. They are great friends, and you can connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, or you can go and check them out at BUYRobertsonCounty.com. Tell them U-Turn sent you. Aaron Spradlin is my guest, and we're talking about the problem of human trafficking and how this is not, I opened up talking about the border because that's just all over the news right now. But what you said about how that most of it's here in America. It's not what's coming across the border, though. That's a problem that needs to be stopped. That's a real simple way to stop it, right? Or to at least stop that part of it. But the problem that we have is so here. It's in Springfield. What were the numbers you gave me in regards to the traffic? You said the percentage that's foreign that comes in.
17% are imported. So 83% of the children trafficked in America are our children.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And Aaron Slate, he puts up on here another, he's a Marine So another serviceman. Thank you for your service.
Semper
I love my veterans. I'm so proud that one of my sons is a veteran, and but I love my veterans. Always honor them, but. Aaron's our Marine that comes on all the time, and he said he's heard pretty credible source that Highway 41 is a hot trafficking route. Can you speak to that?
I can't speak to it. Not yet.
Oh, okay. Enough said. So we'll just leave it at that. And so with all that said, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, we have our company website you could come to is palehorsegrs.com.
Okay.
And then the Not Our Town will start coming out next month. Michael's Sword is its own entity that is our 501c3, but we don't do a lot of marketing with that. Not Our Town will be our visual that you'll see out there. You won't. Michael's Sword is the entity, but Not Our Town is the public service things that we'll be utilizing starting next month.
I want a T-shirt.
You have a T-shirt. There'll be T-shirts, billboards. There'll be anything and everything that we could possibly do to get it out there. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to take a political campaign philosophy.
Good.
And we're going to just grassroot it. And,
Let me
and
know.
Go
Let
out
me know
and
what I
push.
can do.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me know what I can do.
And then the Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline.
Okay.
Okay, it's very important that if we see things, not only do we call 911, but we call into the hotline, because then the hotline goes into the Fusion Center, which is our intelligence gathering apparatus that we have here in the state of Tennessee. It gets siphoned and it gets pushed in the right direction of the right type of law enforcement that's needed to handle anything like that. For instance, our TBI, human trafficking specialist guys that do that.
Right. The
So
four that we have in Tennessee, we need more. That was
Yes,
one of
we
the
need
police
more.
needs. But anyway,
855-558-6484.
do it again.
855-558-6484.
Okay. And again, guys, just if it's an old adage, if you see something, say something. I mean, it matters. And I talked to some people. The kids living in the cars with their parents. That just kind of I see that too often, and that is so highly suspect. And I know that sometimes things have just gotten out of control, and they're trying to keep their family together. But I would say more times than not, it's an addiction that's got them living in their car. And if there's children with them, that can't be. That can't
Nope.
be. That can't
Because
be.
one thing is gonna lead to another.
You better believe it. And we've got to, we've got to make the hard calls, and you've got to save these kids, and just don't turn away from it. So, anything else you want to share? We've still got some time here, but
I was talking about the Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline. There's also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Okay.
And they have a cyber, so NCMEC. If you Google that, it'll bring you right to what you need. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But there's a cyber tip line as well. So last year, there were 21.7 million cyber tips that went through. In all of that, there were videos through those tips. There were 69 million videos on regular social media that showed some sort of trafficking.
oh, you
15
kidding?
million were on Facebook.
Incredible.
It's right in front of you.
Incredible.
It's right in front of you. And,
Incredible.
And of course, that machine that it is, it touches everything. And then it starts running an algorithm, and now it starts feeding the bad guys mentally their advertisements. Because once the algorithms are amazing, because they're artificially intelligent things that are figuring out your pattern. And so now they're luring you in. If I say Godiva chocolate right now, I'm going to see an ad for it on my phone in the next hour.
That's creepy, but it's true.
It's true.
Yep.
And so if I start, clicking over here, or TikTok ads, which is horrible, by the way, I don't bash business, but what TikTok is not good, because now you're visually being seen. Now that is exactly what I'm looking for. I have a client that wants a 16-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed with a birthmark on her arm. He'll pay me $150,000 to move her to Saudi Arabia. And now I know where she lives, because I've just tracked her all the way back through her social media, and I set up, as the bad guy, this thing to take her. And now I just made me $150,000, and somebody's lost their little girl forever, all through cyber. So National Center Missing Exploited Children cyber tip line, because if you start seeing these things, if you're looking for them, you'll see them.
Right.
Snapchat, they think, I can do my Snapchat thing and it'll disappear. I'm going to give you a fine example. So a friend of mine out of Canada, his daughter was in college in the States. She was making extra money, not the good way. She was doing neck down nude video on a site. Now, that being said, her friend was doing it too. They were making substantial money doing this. Her friend gets contacted. Her friend takes her to a party where her friend gets paid to bring her to the party, and she was brutally raped for 13 hours.
Good Lord.
And her friend was on the wind. It was that easy, even though she was doing something that she should not have been doing.
Right.
That the parent couldn't regulate, who had no idea. Mm-hmm. Then this poor girl, for the rest of her life, lives this traumatic event over and over in her brain and her body forever.
Incredible. And we've just got to pay attention. I know there was a woman who told me about being out in the yard with her grandchild, and they were playing with airplanes. They were making paper airplanes, and just a beautiful subdivision where they live. It's just very nice area. This guy is walking or drives by, and he stops and he's like, "Oh, you're playing paper airplanes?" And we're talking to him, and just seemed fine. And then he said something like, "Oh, we need some more paper. Maybe Grandma will go get us some more paper," like that. And she looked at him and was like, "You need to leave now." I mean, she shut it down, and she knew. But something as innocent as that, and you think, "Oh, this is a really nice guy. He's just giving some, time and attention to this child," and just that. It's the things that they slip in there that you just don't think. That gives me cold chills when I think about that. And you've got to educate your kids that these are not good people. When somebody that I hesitate to ever talk to a child that I don't know, because I don't want to make them think I'm trying. If they're with their parent, and I'll say, "Oh, your child is cute," or something like that. But when they're by themselves, I'll also say, "Where's your parent?
Right.
Where's your parent? Where's the person who's in charge of you?" If I see somebody out by themselves, but you got to be so careful. And we've got to educate our kids. We've got to educate the adults about this.
That'll be part of the Not Our Town movement. Is going to the schools. That'll have us.
Kids. Good.
And it's a lot easier to get to the private schools to speak than it is to get to the public schools, because there's a lot you got to go through to do it.
Well, I know a guy here in Robertson County that can expedite that.
Well, let's make that happen. Yeah. So
Dr. Causey's going, "Bring him on. Tell him, come see me."
I'd be glad to, because that's where it starts.
Yeah.
You can educate the parents all you want, but you really got to start educating the kids.
You bet.
And when we teach a young girl self-defense course, and the first 45 minutes is just situational awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, we all live in our phones, and it's amazing how that phone can shut your ears off. If I'm reading a message or something, my wife's talking to me about something and I didn't hear a thing she said, and of course I'll hear about that. But because my eyes are working, but my ears are off. Now that's just as easy when these kids are out there living on these phones, walking. I've watched more kids run into poles just because they're into that phone. So nothing to just snatch them and throw them in a van.
Yeah.
But situational awareness, knowing that the problem exists. We had the Say No to Drugs campaign that went on forever. I remember growing up, that was out there, but you knew it. It's still in my brain. 1990, it's still in my brain. So knowing that this exists, more than just seeing it at a rest stop, because rest stops do a great job of putting out things about trafficking throughout this country. It's like their own campaign, but that's it. It needs to be in the school being taught that this exists and how to avoid it. So.
I love it. Not our town. Not our town. Coming soon. And again, country music songwriters, we need a ballad that just tears your heart out. That's Not Our Town, and a song to raise money for this. Because if we get as good at marketing good as the evil one is at marketing bad, we will change the world. So. Don't deny the Spirit. Don't deny the Spirit. When you feel Him guiding you, let Him guide you and see what kind of door He'll open up, because He obviously did with you. Any parting thoughts? We're in the last minute here. Lee Marie always has something fun. We'll talk about this. And do you have any parting thoughts before I promote what we got coming up? Anything?
No, I think we've covered a lot.
Do the phone numbers one more time. Tell them how to get in touch with you one more time.
Okay, it's the Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline, 855-558-6484. 855-558-6484. And then there's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and I think that's just ncmec.org.
Okay, very good. And we are wrapping it up here with, again, One Street Over. I'm U-Turn Laverne, and again, this is WSGI. Tomorrow we've got Aaron Allen, Callie DeRoot coming in, Beholding His Glory. It's what they're going to be talking about, a show I think that they do. And they're going to come on, and we're going to talk to them. And also we got Lee Marie talking about Military Appreciation Month, which begins on Saturday. Come and be a part of our show. This is 1100 WSGI, One Street Over. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk with you tomorrow. God bless.